This video is going to cover Chapter 9, Exercise number 1. So we're in the plan sheet production chapter. And there's a lot of things that's changed with this plan sheet production, and this is the new way of doing it, the whole name boundary tools that we presented in the cross-section chapter earlier. Now we're talking about creating our plan sheets. And in this Chapter 9, we're going to cover full plan sheets, full profile sheets, plan profile sheets, plan sheets, and then editing plan profile sheets, or editing any type of these sheets that you create. That'll be the last exercise. So the first one we're going to do is this full plan sheets. And you can see I've got the Word document on the right. I have ProjectWise Explorer on the left, and I actually have ORD open in the background. Okay, that's just the way I'm going to start this exercise. So over here, I'm going to go to the full group exercise of full plan sheets. Navigate down to it. Okay, so exercise 1, full plan sheets, Route 54. What we're going to do is we're going to create a new folder within the Data 9 folder called Plan Sheets. That's the first step. So go over to ProjectWise, open that up, and I'm navigating to my folder, Data 9, and then I'm going to right click over Data 9 and get these pop-up options, and I'm going to go to that new folder. Select New Folder, key in Plan Sheets, and then hit OK. You'll see that now we have a Data 9 folder and a Plan Sheet folder under it. Now what this is for is our plan sheets, profile sheets, plan profile sheets, all these types of plan sheets that we do, they get saved off as separate DGN files. So this is where we're going to store them. Now in your job you might have the different types of plan sheets and different types of folders to place them in. So that's probably better organized than what we're going to do here. But this is just showing you how to save the DGN file into a different area, and we're going to save it in this area called Plan Sheets. So step number 2 says, within that Data 9 folder, let's open up the Civil Geometry file. So if I go to Data 9, you can see I already have Civil Geometry open, checked in the background. If I go back to it and look at it, I've already opened up the Civil Geometry file. You can tell it's that because all it is the alignments and a terrain. That's all you get. So it contains our horizontal, our profiles, and a terrain. Back to the manual. It says within this file, we're going to create a new file, and we're going to name it Name Boundary Full Plan Route 54 J5P 3181. Now, what we're doing here is we're naming it using the file naming convention. We're going with the type of file it is, which is a name boundary, which is a container file. And then we're going to call it what type of name boundary file it is, which is a full plan sheet one. So we'll say full plan. And then we're talking about what route is it covering, or which alignment, and it's Route 54. And then the job number is always at the end. So this is the way we want to set it up. I'm going to go ahead and copy it. Hopefully it takes. I'll go back over here to Open Rows Designer. I'll do a File, New. So we go to the Backstage, hit the New button, and we wait a second or two. And then the New pops up. We're in this Data 9 folder, and it shows us this only because we opened up a file within that folder. And that's why we did it, to get us into this folder. Now we're just going to come down here, and you can see it defaulted with this MoDOT roadway seed 2D. If it did not, you just hit the seed button and go pick it. We're good. We're just going to swipe through this and do a Control V. And when I paste it from there, you'll see that there's two .dgns. The reason is there's a space at the end. So I need to hit the backspace on the keyboard, and that'll get rid of that second DGN, and we're good. So it should be named underscore boundary underscore full dash plan underscore route dash 54 underscore J5P 3181.dgn for this exercise. Then I'll hit OK and open it up. It's going to ask us to check in or free it. I'm going to go ahead and check it in. We didn't do anything to it, but I'm going to check it in anyway. And then eventually it's going to open our blank, brand new 2D seed file. And here it is. So let's go back to Word. So we've done this part here. Now we need to set the coordinate system. And it tells us open the coordinate system tool by selecting Open Roads Modeling Workflow, which we've been in. And then we're going to go to the Utilities tab and then Geographic section and pick it. And then we're going to select From File, this little icon here that you can see is pointing to. And then we're going to select the terrain file. And the reason we select the terrain file in this situation is we've already set the coordinates up on that terrain file, and it's a 3D file. So you don't get an option to pick from 2D or 3D. You get the 3D, and it just goes right through without giving us any other options, and that's what we want. So let's go back and do this. Okay, so let's go to the Utilities tab. We'll select it. Coordinate system, that's the little world. Here's our dialog. We'll hit that little folder that says From File. It'll navigate to our Data 9 folder, and we're looking for terrain. We'll hit Open, and you can see it loads the information. And it also down here in the bottom right, you see now we do have a green check mark. So we're good. We can go ahead and close out of this dialog. Okay, that brings us all the way down to step number 8. Step 8 says we're going to reference in the following. We want our civil geometry, our corridors, our land boundary, and our terrain. Okay, let's do that. Now we could go to Home and hit Reference, or there's some quick buttons down here on this toolbar that's been added. And you can see that there's a references one. This toolbar is pretty smooth. You got your models here, you got some other referencing thing, point cloud, but you have your AccuDraw for your simple microstation AccuDraw. But I'm going to hit this reference icon. I just like to look at that toolbar. It's a pretty good one. So in here, we're going to hit the tools. We're going to do attach. We're going to navigate or verify that we're in a Data 9 folder. Now this may not have changed from Data 8 or Data 7, so you'll want to make sure that you change it to your Data 9. So you might have to go to Roadway and go back to Data 9. Make sure that you're in your Data 9 folder. Okay. So we're going to attach our civil geometry, so I'll select it. Corridors for Route 54. Our land boundary file, we want to see the right-of-way lines. And then the last thing that we want is the terrain. We don't need to see the super elevation. It's applied to the corridors. We're good to go. All we need to do is see all these 4 files here. So you can add them in and then hit OK, or you can actually just go down and hit OK, either way. And it's going to go through this dialog, and we're going to accept the defaults by hitting OK all 4 times. And then we can do a fit view. Once you've done a fit view, we're done with the reference dialog. We'll go ahead and close it out. Let's go back to that manual. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit to the alignment so you can see that what it brought in is our terrain file, our land boundaries file. You can see the corridors files in by, you've got your corridor handles, rips. You have some template drops in here with that magenta dash line. You have your pavement, and you have your shoulders, limits of construction, lines, in condition exception, box down here. So that's our corridors. And you can see the land boundary came in because we have our right-of-way. You see all the Maltese crosses coming through. So pretty much everything that we wanted to come in for this plan sheet is in. So now we'll go to our Word document. Next step is, step number 9 is to say change the annotation scale to 1 inch equals 50. Okay, so we'll do that. Come back over here. My annotation scale is at the bottom. Yours might be at the top or somewhere else. But that's what you're looking for, this annotation scale. We'll change it from 1 inch equals 100 to 1 inch equals 50. And you can see by the station tick marks and the stationing text that's out there, it will get smaller. Once I hit 150, bam, down it goes. Okay. Step 10 is an optional thing. Fit the view to the project location. We're kind of in it, so we're good. The next step, 11, says let's activate the terrain, and that's always an important thing. So we'll go out and we will select that terrain and then activate it. Okay. Back to the Word document. Here's a note that's important. Turn on and off levels as desired before processing the plan sheets. This will keep you from needing to open each created plan sheet to turn off unwanted levels. So if you had some information in there that you didn't want to see in your plan sheets, now's the time that you'd want to turn those levels off. If not, after you cut your plan sheets, and it depends on how many you have, but you have to go through each one of those and turn off the levels. So here's a good point to go through your alignment, make sure that you've got on and off the proper levels. Ours for this exercise is fine. We're going to leave it as it is. In the view attributes, it says verify that the toggle is on for constructions. And I can see mine are on. And the reason I know this is because if I hover over these are corridor handles, this template drop. These things, they're on construction level. And I see them, so I know my constructions are on. So if I go back over and I look in the view attributes, you can see my constructions are on. If they're off, you don't see that information. Okay? So for this exercise, we're going to leave them on. Following the book. So that's good. Now we're going to go to our drawing production tab and start doing some actual name boundary placements. Okay, to get there, we're going to go to the drawing production tab. And we're going to select the name boundary tool. Make sure you're in Open Roads Modeling, which that's where we're at. We haven't changed. So let's go back over to Open Roads Designer, Drawing Production. And then off to the right, you'll see there's an icon for name boundary, or you can hit the pull down and get it from there, however you want to do it. Place name boundary tool is what we're after. So we'll bring it up. And you see you have all your modes, and we were working with the cross section in last chapter. So let's go to the Word document and see what we need to do. Okay. Now this is an option. You can either select the alignment to start the process or fill in a dialog first. So let's go down to the dialog and let's look at it. What we're going to do here is we're going to pick that first icon. That's our plan sheet. We're going to make sure our seed file is set to the D-size full plan, and we're going to pick a detail scale of 1 inch equals 50. Those three things you have to do, and then after that, you have to pick that alignment, or it's a good time to pick the alignment. So let's go do that. So we'll pick this first icon, civil plan. We'll verify the seed file by going to Design, D-size, full plan, and then we'll pick our scale. And we're going to scroll down till we see that 1 inch equals 50. And we're good. Now we're going to come out and we're going to zoom in, and it tells us down here in the bottom to identify the path element. And we're going to select that Route 54. When you hover over it, it tells you it's Route 54 and it has the profile, so we're good. It also populates the name in the field, the name field, and it's ready for us to place our first name boundary. So let's go back to the Word document and see what we're going to do from here. It says we want to start location and lock it in. And to do this, you just hit this on the right side, this little arrow that has the back button. That'll get us the very first station, okay? So let's do that. We'll come back over to this dialog. It doesn't know where to go. I can dynamically place this, or I can hit this button, and the book says hit the button. I'll hit the button. Now you see I've lost my dynamic tool here. You don't see it anymore. Well, what it's doing is down at the bottom, accept or reject to identify the start point. So it wants a left click. So I'll do a left click, and you can see now it's placing dynamically again. And as I move around the alignment, it's wanting to place as many sheets as that alignment will go, which would be 4. But this exercise, I believe we're going to do 3. So once I've got that part, let's go back to the Word document. And then here it has an overlap set to 75. So let's do that. And it also has a create drawing checked on and a show dialog checked on. Okay, so we'll make sure of that. Now, there's this big do not modify shaded area warning right here. And it's important because the length is set up to fit within our sheets as you create them. And same with the left and right offset. So you can see it's a 1,400 foot length right now. And it has a left and right offset of 477.82 on the left and a negative for the right. Okay, so that's the way it ends up being for these sheets, and it places that geometry perfectly in your cut plan sheets. So we don't want to mess with those. Or if you do mess with them and you go larger than that, what's going to happen is it's going to show in your sheets, and then you're going to have to go back and clip mask a bunch of stuff because it will bleed over into your titles or into your plan sheets, and you don't want that. Okay, so let's go back and fill this out. it says overlap of 75. You can see right now there's no overlap, and I can see that by looking in here. One sheet attaches right to the next one. So let's go ahead and key in that 75 and hit the enter key and lock that in. Now when I move back out, you can see what it did. There's a little dot here that is a division between the first plan sheet name boundary and the second plan sheet name boundary, and that's where it's going to cut it at. It's going to place it right there. And that also allows us to get more information. Before we weren't seeing all this roadway. It was cut out. You also notice the beginning of it has moved off the sheet a little bit, so we're not starting right at the beginning. So that overlap will help us in a couple different ways. One, to offset the start of the sheets. Two, to overlap the sheets so that we can get the geometry that's been missing. Okay, so once you've got that and you have create drawing checked on and show dialog, which is important, we'll have those both checked on, then what we're going to do is we're going to move out on our screen and move our mouse down. And when you get that third sheet in, and it doesn't matter where you click, just as long as you have that third sheet in, you go ahead and left click. Okay, it places the boundaries, but it's not there yet. It's looking for one more. Down at the bottom left, it tells it accept or reject data point and plan view to place the boundary. So now we go one more click. You see it go away for a minute. It places the name boundaries in the background. You can see them. They're actually in here now. And it's at the create drawing dialog that is important. This is the one that you didn't want to miss. Okay, so we've got this. We'll go back to our manual. We did everything that we were supposed to do here. It's even got it, not only a dialogue showing a visual of it, but details down below. And again, talks about the left and right offset. Okay, it talks about what to do once the name boundaries have been populated. The start location, left click, and then the stop location can also be typed in. So either way. And then there's also an optional option, or there's an optional option, but there's an option down here that says you can move the shapes as needed to get the correct area for the clipping shape. This tool does not honor rotating the shape. If you rotate that shape, it's going to clip exactly where it was placed. It's not going to honor any rotation. And as far as moving it, it's not really been working very well for us. So really using that offset or that overlap, using that overlap has been the way to get around all this. So right now the tool doesn't do a lot of the moving and rotating as you would think it would. There's also a note that says currently the shapes, the clipping shapes will not dynamically follow the alignment. Also not support is the ability to move the preceding and following clipping shapes when moving a clipping shape. Yes, it doesn't work like SS10 or SS4 or even SS2, wherever all that legacy data came from, where you can take one sheet, move it, and the other ones will move with it. They did not bring that over. So what you get is what you see is what you get right now. Okay, now that the clipping shapes are created, you now start the process to create the plan sheets by left-clicking one last time to bring up the Create Dialog box, which we did. Here we are. In the Create Dialog, Drawing Dialog, we're going to change the options as desired to produce the plan sheets. For the purpose of class, we will fill out the dialog exactly like the dialog below, which, scroll down, it looks like this. And you can see there's some red icons here. We're going to check on one sheet per DGN. This will allow us to go ahead and create a sheet. So normally it would be off and you'd have to turn this on. And then you're going to path to that folder for our plan sheets that we created. So you're going to hit the browse button. I don't know why I went all the way back out, but we'll go with it. Let me find my training sandbox. I'm working in the area that I used before. Go on to mining. Roadway, data 9, and we want to hit that plan sheets option. That's where we're going to store this. So our roadway, data 9, plan sheets, hit OK. Okay, so now when we create these three separate name boundaries into plan sheets, they're going to go out to that folder we placed. Let me go back to Word. Okay, so we filled this out. The next thing that we want to look at is there's a view name, a model name, and a model name. One for the drawing model, one for the sheet model. The view name is the file name. Well, actually, they all three populated with the same name produce the the DGN name. Okay, if one's different from the other, it'll go with the default is whatever this is. So I'm gonna scroll down. I got it's down here. It says name. I'm gonna copy this. Route 54 underscore job underscore plan underscore 01. So I'm gonna copy that. Control C. Go over here. And I'm gonna swipe through that view name. Paste it. Do the same thing with my drawing name, model, and then our model name for our sheet model. Now, if you've seen the previous videos, these weren't an option. They just had a name up here that you just gave it. I don't know why they separated it out, but they did. So you want to make sure these three are the same. Back to this. It says, let's see here, view name, drawing, sheet model names being the same will create new files with the defined name, no spaces or special characters, as always when creating a DGN file. Okay? And again, you want to use the UPG or the naming convention to put these in here. You may have traffic control plan sheet or erosion control plan sheet, and you'll put the name in there. However you do it, you're gonna want to do that when you create these. Okay. So next thing need to be looked at is our scale. 1 equals 50 for our drawing model. So look at my drawing model. Oh, that's off. Let's change that to 1 equals 50. That doesn't come across. Okay. As you would think it should. Okay, next thing we want to look at is to make sure our 1 equals 50 by name boundary is the way to be. So if you see that, that puts you in the ballpark, and we've got that. That's good. It should default correctly. The annotation scale for the sheet would always be a 1 equals 1. Again, it's a sheet model, and it takes a drawing model and scales it down and fit to a sheet model, and that's what we create our plan sheets with. That's what gets printed is that sheet model. Okay. And it says down here, no, sheets need to be named to conform with the file naming convention for contract plans. Okay. So the next thing we want on is that open model. So we'll come over here. Let's see where we're at. We'll scale that on to the drawing model annotation, select OK to create the sheet. This will create separate sheet files in the location that you selected in Dialog. So it should go to our plan sheet folder. In the process for this, you're going to get two dialogs that pop up. One is a one where it's going to have this plan for, and it's going to say update server copies, what you're going to do. And then you're going to check in the other ones, or whatever the name is. And this dialog would happen to be plan for, probably because when this manual was created, it's been went through a few times. So let's go do this. Create drawing. 50 is good. 1 is good. 1 equals 50 is good. Open model. We're going to hit the OK and let her process. And you can see the process down here at the bottom. And now it's start to go. And eventually you're going to get that update server dialog. Here it is. We'll update that server. Copy. And ours is plan 03, which is the last plan sheet that it created. And then we're going to check in the name boundary. We're going to check in plan 01 and 02 because we are going to be in 03. So we'll check it in. And it will open us up into the sheet model of the last plan sheet that it created, which is that plan underscore 03. 3, you can see that's the name of the window, and it's also the name of the file. Okay, so here's the plan, or the sheet model that's created, and this is the one that we create our PDFs from. So you'll see you've got your edge of pavement, your edge of shoulder, limits of construction, you've got your alignment in here, you've got your right-of-way lines from the land boundaries file, you even have your terrain model. So you got all that in here. The only thing that you would do in this sheet model, and I try to stress this every time we talk about it, is come over here and edit the title block, the route, district, county, job number, all that stuff. That's the only thing that you'll want to do is modify that in the sheet model. The sheet model is white for a reason. It has one job to do, and that's to produce PDFs or prints. That's all it's for. That's why it's white. It lets you know that This is a sheet model. That's it. Now, go back to the manual. We've done all that. It opened the drawing, or it opened to the sheet model, and it's asking us to go through the models and see what we've got. So we've got a drawing model and a sheet model. Okay, so let's go back to OpenRoads Designer. And if I change the model that I'm in, and you'll notice that it only creates two when you create a plan sheet. You'll get your sheet model, the one that we're currently in, which is that white piece of paper with the little title block to it. And then you'll get a drawing model, which is where you would do all the other information. So if I click on it, you can see that you're getting your same information you do in your sheet, because the sheet is a byproduct of what's in this drawing model. You'll also notice that in the drawing model, you're seeing the template drops, you're seeing the corridor handles, you're seeing the name boundaries from each sheet. Okay, you're seeing that. If you don't want to see that, it's a construction attribute, so we can turn that off. It's out of the way. Now I kind of like to leave them on because it lets me know where things are at when I place notes, arrowhead, drawing scale, anything like that. If I want to place stuff in here, curve data, anything that I've got going on, I can see where the other stuff are at. And again, if I go back to that sheet model, that's already turned off in here by default. So you don't see all the extra stuff that you do see in your drawing model. So again, you would go to your drawing model. This is where you place your notes, any kind of annotation whatsoever that you want to see on your plan sheets. A north arrow, a drawing scale, anything that you need to see on your plan sheets will be put into this model here. And this is a 1 inch equals 50, and that's pretty much what you'd want to do. So let's see, go back to this. It's saying don't add geometry, adding geometry except for text that is needed for the order information to the sheet model is not recommended or even supported by CAD support. So what we're saying is stay out of this sheet for putting notes in. Do it in the drawing model. Okay, it's kind of like an AutoCAD thing where you had your paper space, model space. Well, it's actually the same thing. Okay, so people's wanting AutoCAD, you're kind of getting a little taste of it here. This is the end of the exercise and end of the video for exercise number 1.